it's Durgamata here. I'm in my beautiful garden and it's sunrise, and I'm going to talk to you today about breath and breathing. When you stop and think about it, you can live for perhaps a month without food. You can live for a few days without water. But how long can you live without breathing? Just pause the video for a minute and watch your breathing. Be conscious of your breathing. Don't change the rhythm. You might find it naturally slows just because you're paying attention to it. But just be aware of what an amazing thing it is as the breath comes in and goes out.
Take a deep breath. Yes, right now. Come up from the back of your seat, sit up straight, and take a big inhale. Fill all the way up, and then exhale. Now, do you feel like you get a little bit taller on the inhale, and on the exhale sort of settle down? Because I'm seeing it. Well, if you do, you're what I call a vertical breather. First thing that happens is that you overuse your neck and shoulder muscles. So even though it's a small movement, you're doing it thousands of times a day, year after year. So if you have neck and shoulder pain, I started by signing up for a yoga class where we would do breathing exercises at the beginning of class. I was intrigued. I dove in head first. I studied breathing in birthing, free diving, singing, and martial arts. So this connection to stress is what got me interested in the breath.
The sound of the wind in the trees, and the wood pigeons cooing.
Ancient yogis say we come into this world with a certain number of breaths, and we can take them quickly and live a short lifespan, or we can take them deeply and slowly and live a long lifespan. "4,000 years later, fast forward, the Framingham study found that breathing is predictive of longevity in a quantitative way, longevity in health.
To understand the value and the importance of conscious breathing, we need to understand a little bit about how the body works. There's a thing called metabolism, which means basically all the different things that go on in your body to keep you alive. Our metabolic process, all the things that go on in our body to keep us alive, is governed by the autonomic nervous system. And it's autonomic because it happens automatically. We don't have to think in order for our heart to beat and our blood to flow, for our digestion to work, for our excretion to work, and all the other processes that go into keeping us alive. And within the autonomic nervous system, there are two separate strands. One is called the sympathetic, and one is called the parasympathetic nervous system. And you'll understand why this is important in a minute. If you're in danger, the sympathetic nervous system takes over. Your senses, mainly your sight and your sound, alert your brain to danger. Hippocampus is a bit like the control center in your brain, and immediately it sends messages to different parts of the body to prepare you to fight or flight. This is the stress response, and when it's working properly, it really can keep us alive. When you're in danger, when the stress response is triggered, the body secretes hormones which prepare it for battle or escape. And the first of these is adrenaline. And adrenaline gets your heartbeat racing and pupils dilate, so you get lots of light and you can focus very well. And the blood vessels in your muscles expand. You're ready to fight or run for your life. First, the adrenaline prepares you to escape from danger. And then cortisol is secreted into the bloodstream, and that releases lots of glucose and sugars that will give you the energy you need. So these two hormones together are crucial in preparing you for fight or flight, and they come from the sympathetic nervous system. If the danger you're facing is something physical, like a tiger in the bushes, then you need to fight or run for your life. And all the things that are happening in your body in the stress response will help you to escape. The adrenaline and the cortisol help us to stay alive. And when the danger's passed, after a little while, they return to normal levels. They're metabolized out of our bloodstream. And the exercise, the physical exercise and the deep breathing of escaping from the danger are among the things that help with that. In today's world, we tend to get stresses that have nothing to do with physical danger, and they tend to hang around. They don't come and go. They often build and stay so that our cortisol and adrenaline levels remain high. And this is the cause of toxic stress. Just stop for a minute and think of the things that cause stress to you. What are the main causes of stress in your life at the moment? Do they have anything to do with physical danger? Is the adrenaline and the cortisol going to help you solve your problems and reduce your stress? Unfortunately, it's more likely to do the opposite. But when you think about our current lifestyle, a lot of the stress has nothing at all to do with physical danger, and our lifestyle is very sedentary. If the adrenaline levels stay high, this causes damage to our blood vessels and causes our blood pressure to remain high. It can result in strokes and heart attacks. And if our cortisol levels stay high, then it stimulates us to feel hungry and to eat more than we need and to put on extra weight. And that causes obesity, which is also a life-threatening problem. So you can see how the sympathetic nervous system is a problem for our health. But it's not the only part of our autonomic nervous system. we also have the parasympathetic nervous system, and that is dominated by one long wandering nerve called the vagus nerve.
Now, here's what's most fascinating for me as a psychologist. The vagus nerve is a nerve that goes through the back of your head and goes throughout your whole body. Vagus means wanderer in Latin, and it does. It wanders throughout your whole body, picking up signals to tell your brain how to feel. Now, when you're breathing vertically, the vagus nerve automatically puts you into a stressed out fight or flight mode. And that doesn't matter what's going on in your surroundings. They could be perfectly mundane routine. You're going to be in fight or flight. Now, what was most alarming to me was when I looked around, almost everyone I knew wasn't breathing correctly. And I knew the medical research said that breath affects your sleep, your back, your digestion, your memory, anxiety, all these different things. It affects parts of your body that you'd never even consider, like your esophagus and your pelvic floor. It wreaks havoc throughout your whole body. It affects your immune system, your adrenal glands, acidity. We know the importance of the breath. So what should you do? Look no further than your toddler, your dog, your cat, even your fish. They breathe expanding and contracting in the middle, using the diaphragm.
When our parasympathetic nervous system is stimulated, then it gives us the space to rest and digest. So if we want to reduce stress in our lives, we have to find things that will stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system. And that's all about breathing.
Sometime between the ages of 5 and 10, your breathing changes from a lower body breath to an upper body breath. And it happens because of several things. Number one is that you go to school and you start sitting a lot. And sitting affects your posture, which affects your breath. Second thing is that you're only using the top part of your lungs. Where's the biggest, most oxygen-rich part of your lungs? Right down here. Take your hands, put them there. There we go, right down here. Biggest, densest part of your lungs. Now, do you use these when you breathe vertically? No. So you actually have to take several smaller breaths. That is, breathe faster to get the air that you need.
So back to the question of breathing. When it comes to the metabolic system, we don't have a lot of control over most of it. But we do have the capacity to influence our breath and control our breathing. And that's what we use to take us away from the stress response and into the rest and digest. Because if we make our breathing slow and gentle, it has a great effect on the rest of the body. Now we can get a little bit more technical. You can put your hand on your tummy and feel your tummy expand as you breathe. You can do this standing up or sitting as well, but I like to do it lying down because it's easier to notice the way your tummy moves when you're lying down. When we do this with children, we get them to put a favorite toy on their tummy, a soft toy, an animal maybe, and get their furry rabbit or their furry cat or their teddy to rise up as they breathe in. It's called diaphragmatic breathing because you're using your diaphragm. A lot of the time when we breathe, we only breathe with our chest and our shoulders, and there's a certain amount of tension. But when we breathe really deeply and we fill our lungs with air, we use our diaphragm, and that presses down and makes our tummy rise up. So it's also called belly breathing. And it's very important when we're thinking about how to use our breath to reduce stress. The more we can slow our breathing and use our diaphragm, the better our breathing will be at taking our system from the sympathetic and moving it into the parasympathetic nervous system.
Now, much of the confusion around breathing occurs because we don't really understand the diaphragm. It's a muscle deep inside. It's depicted as this little red line that crosses the body, when actually it's much more like the Starship Enterprise, this enormous muscle in the very middle of your body, separating your thoracic cavity from your digestive organs. And the only reason it was put there was to help you breathe, if you let it. So let's get intimate with the diaphragm right now, really. Take your fingers, put them right here at your sternum, okay? Walk them around the bottom of your ribs. Go, keep walking. There we go. Now, your ribs are attached to your sternum like handles on a pail. On the inhale, they're meant to move out horizontally. And on the exhale, they narrow with your body. What a beautiful machine the body is. Come up from the back of your seat. Come on up, scooch up to the front of your chair. All right? We're going to do a breathing exercise. This is called rock and roll. You're going to put your hands on your belly. We're going to do the exaggerated version until your diaphragm starts to kick in, starts to get engaged. All right? So I want you to tip forward, inhale, let your belly go. Ready? Tip forward, inhale, let it go, expand. Exhale, squeeze, round your back. Belly button gets closer to your spine. Use your abs. Inhale, tip forwards. Let your belly go. Expand it. Exhale, squeeze. Get all that air out. Round your shoulders. They have nothing to do with this. Big inhale. Expand. Exhale, squeeze. Forwards and back. You're now breathing horizontally.
So your next exercise is to either sit somewhere comfortable or lie flat on your back. Put your hand on your tummy and breathe from your belly. Do some nice belly breathing for a minute or two. And again, make it slow and gentle. When we watch our breath, when we do some conscious breathing exercises, it's really great for the body because it calms our sympathetic nervous system, it calms our stress response, and it takes us into the parasympathetic nervous system. It's also really good for the mind. All those drunk monkey crazy thoughts that jump around and give us trouble, all that mental chatter, that calms down when we turn our attention to our breath and our breathing. So anytime the mental chatter is bothering you, anytime you're bothered by your thoughts, just take your attention to your breath and spend a minute or two in conscious breathing. I'm standing here under one of the biggest trees in the garden. It's a big beech tree, and I love the way that the sun comes through the branches. Yeah.